our February spin on it. And this month's topic is all about definitions and titles. The definitions and titles that we place on ourselves, that people place on us, and how those affect the way that we project ourselves out into the world. So what brought this up is my sweet Wesley got a big promotion at work. Yay! In his real life job, which is, believe it or not, outside of a gym. And he is now vice president of his company. He is very important now. We have to stand up straighter, say yes sir, no sir.
No, JK.
But Wes was not super comfortable with the title originally and all the attention that we were giving him.
Yeah, I still am not. And when the words were presented to me, I immediately got very uncomfortable because I had these visual images of somebody who was older, wore a stuffy gray suit, wasn't very fashionable, somebody who's not very presentable.
No offense to any very fashionable vice presidents out there. Wow.
And I just felt like it was a very loaded phrase, and I just was afraid of not being able to live up to that title. That did I deserve it? What are people going to think of me being a VP? And so it just made me think about also other phrases or words that we present to ourselves or people think of us that make us feel uncomfortable. We're afraid to own those terms.
I think that's the bigger picture, is why we're afraid to own those things or to let them define us. And several years ago, I took a trip to Panama, and so I decided to, I know you think this is so funny, take a crash course in conversational Spanish so that I could find the bathroom and find things to buy and
go shopping,
basically. So one of the things that they did in the class was they gave us a sheet and it said, "Yo soy," with a little blank space.
I keep thinking of like soy milk.
That's what until I took the course, I really thought maybe it had something to do with soy milk. So in the blank spaces, we were supposed to write the things that defined us. So for me, it was a mother, a wife,
a sinner on a saint,
a bitch, a lover, all those great things. And I realized then there's so many things, none of us are one-dimensional. There's so many different things that define us, that make us who we are, and we should own all of them. All of them are a piece of us. And we shouldn't shrink away from those things that we work for.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how much I did it. I was afraid of the term personal trainer when I got certified. I was so pumped about passing my exam and doing something that I never thought I would be able to do. But then I was like, oh crap, people are going to expect me to learn, every muscle, know every answer. And I had to realize that anything that you do is an educational process, and it's an ongoing thing. There are things that I don't know, things that I know that, no, I don't know a lot of things. No. But there are things that I do know that other people might not know. So just being able to share my knowledge with other people and vice versa, it's just part of the process of growing and learning who you are. And so when I became comfortable with that, I learned how powerful, it felt very powerful once I accepted that title that I wanted, that I deserved and worked hard to get.
And for me, it was a week ago, I was part of a women's empowerment panel, and a girlfriend had spearheaded it and asked me to be a part of it. And when she told me that I was going to be up there with 4 other women, I really was sort of confused as to why she wanted me to do it. My first thought initially was, well, what am I bringing to this? Why would I be someone that empowers women? And the more I thought about it and realized, okay, well, there are some things I do that I guess could be considered empowering, whatever.
You gotta own it.
See, I can't even do it right here, can I? I'm like, well, I guess, maybe, I don't know.
It's a hard thing that we do.
It is. It's very difficult, and maybe it's just our personality types, but I think it's probably difficult for most people. I think that, so as she was introducing me in words like professional writer, triathlete, and I could just hear these words, and I was just cringing internally, thinking, oh my gosh.
You felt the heat.
You know what it is? You feel inauthentic. You feel like a phony.
Or you feel like there may be not lifting up, but you're being kind of
I know what you're trying to say, but yeah, they're sort of overselling you a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I thought about that, I thought, well, I am a writer. I've been a writer for 20 years. I've been published for 20 years. I completed a triathlon. I guess that makes me a triathlete.
Absolutely.
So,
not I guess.
It does.
You are.
I am.
You are.
Yo soy.
She is.
Yo soy triathlete.
Girl.
So, another trainer that we work with at the gym where we train out of, is also a life coach, and she and I were having this conversation. We share a client who has really come a long way. She works with me on her physical, her strength training, and she works with this other woman on her nutrition and yoga. And we started talking about how this woman is really leading an active lifestyle now, but when we call her an active person, she still struggles with that a little bit. And there's another woman that works out there who runs. She runs 2 or 3 miles, but when you refer to her as a runner, she shrinks away from that because she's, I'm not a runner. Don't call me a runner. I just run a couple of miles. Well, you run a couple of miles, you're a runner. You swim a couple of laps, you're a swimmer. Own it. It doesn't mean that you have to. I think that's the problem. I think we get in our heads, like you said, when you became a personal trainer, you thought you automatically had to know every muscle in the body, every exercise ever invented, and how it's going to affect people. I think people who run think that they can't call themselves a runner until they've done a marathon. And we have to change that. We have to change the way that we see ourselves and the way that we define ourselves and own where we are in the process of that spectrum.
And what's amazing is when you actually own that title, you personally own it, it's a very powerful thing that motivates yourself to do more and to also motivate other people who maybe are in that same boat that you were, where you're like, they're on that, that seesaw of, one day I feel like this, one day I don't feel like a runner. So it's just very mentally, it's just a mind-changing
It is. It's all about changing the mindset. And like Wes, when I became certified as a group trainer and then I went on to become a cycle instructor, I still struggle with saying that. When people say, oh, you teach cycle? I'm like, well, yeah, sort of. I do, several times a week. So, but in my head, when I first did these things, I thought about what that looked like to me, and it looked like someone younger, to be honest, and someone who was maybe all over Instagram with their fitness shots and their smoothies and their green juice. And that's not who I am, but that's okay. I'm still a fitness instructor. I'm still a cycle instructor. And I put my own, not to be cute, but my own spin on it, using the knowledge that I have with 48 years of experience, right? So it is about owning it, making it your own, and being proud of it. If it's something that you've worked hard for, use it.
Yeah, so if there's a term that you are afraid to own, maybe it's a runner, or like you said, a triathlete, or anything, and it isn't even have to be fitness related, it could be outside, it could be vice president. Like, own that word, like she said, know that you working hard to achieve it, or you've worked hard in the past. It doesn't matter if it's in the past or present, that is who you are. So if there's a word that you're afraid of, post in the comment section, put it out there in the world, own it.
Because conversely, what's going to happen if you don't is that you're going to tell yourself you're not these things. And self-fulfilling prophecy, you're not going to become those things. So if you tell yourself, I'm not a runner, I'm not an artist, I'm not a corporate executive, you'll never become those things because you're just telling yourself ahead of time that you're going to fail.
Yeah. So, cool. Yeah. Well, that's our spin on that.
That's our spin on that.
So have a happy Valentine's Day. We love you guys. You can't do
that. Am I doing that? That's what a younger cycle instructor Instagram person would do. See, I can't do that.
Well, I don't want to do that.
There you go.
All right, guys, have a good week. We'll check y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.